Okay, so Brad DeLong asked me to do a quick video on the question of will econ blogging hurt your career? And I think that's a very important question. A lot of people ask me that because there's the sense that econ is a very hierarchical profession, that if you don't sort of, I don't know, get on board with the mainstream, then you'll be frozen out. You won't get to publish your papers. You won't get hired for a tenure track job. And, this may be a very valid worry because if there are people out there who, dislike you or who get upset at something you say, they're generally not going to send you an email and tell you. They're just going to quietly decide that they don't like you. So that definitely leads to some fear among grad students and untenured professors and people whose careers could be adversely affected. But that said, I think that there are some clear benefits too. One of those is exposure. All other things being equal, it's better to have people who know who you are, who are going to say, oh, okay, Noah Smith, let's hear what he has to say, um, when they read your paper or when they listen to you give a job talk. And it's also really good for meeting people. I've gotten to meet a lot of people in the field that I almost certainly wouldn't have got to meet by this time in my career if I hadn't done the blogging thing. And it really doesn't take very much time at all. I mean, I spend about an hour and a half per week blogging. That's really nothing. So, and I think what you see is more and more people kind of taking the plunge and doing it. Back in 2011, in terms of grad students and untenured profs doing blogging, you had me, you had Carl Smith, you had Steve Randy Waldman, you had just one or two other people, and now you're seeing more and more people doing this. You see grad student bloggers, Owen Zadar and Carola Binder at Berkeley are really excellent. And there's also Justin Wolfers. And of course, he can get jobs pretty much anywhere he wants and just got hired at Michigan. He was definitely not tenured when he was writing his blog, and he's been pretty outspoken about political things. So our numbers are growing. But that said, I think it really also depends, how much risk you take depends on the type of blogging you're doing. So if you're talking about research and if you're flagging interesting research and talking about, wow, this stuff is so cool, I would say there's essentially zero risk and lots of upside because people will know that you're passionate about what you do. If you talk about your personal politics, I love Obama or something like that, I think it's not going to be very risky because I think most people will assume that you can keep your politics kind of separate from your work. Now, if you start just criticizing the econ profession as a whole, the culture of it, blah, 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 that could definitely entail more risk. And of course, that was exactly the strategy I chose. But anyway, so it really depends on the type of blogging you do. And always remember that you're always going to sound like 10 times more of a jerk when you're writing online than you do in real life. So, when you blog, be careful. But I think it's really a good idea to go for it. And in the end, the most important reason is that there's safety in numbers. When there's 5 people blogging, people say, oh, you're the blogger. But then if there's 200 people blogging, people will be like, oh, here's your papers, blah, blah, blah. Here's what your research is. Oh, and maybe I'll see what you say in your blog, but it definitely won't define you as much. So the more people who do it, the safer it's going to be. Anyway, thanks a lot. Sorry I couldn't be at the conference.